The general assessment, I think, is that the U.S. is still ahead in the AI world and in the chip world, if you will, if you tie in those from whom we import chips. But that applications actually are where China is outstripping the rest of the world. And again, this is a serious confrontation and competition because there are lots of restrictions now on what can be sold to whom. You just saw that President Trump made an exception now for NVIDIA, the highest chips and so forth. So this is another dimension of geopolitics, and it's a very, very important one because AI is going to transform everything. It already is. In fact, the U.S. here, I'd say perhaps more than any other economy, although China's also ahead in robotics and some others. But the U.S. innovation that is producing productivity gains that are very, very substantial, arguably the greatest in our lifetimes, that accounts for probably 0.9 of the 1.6% real GDP growth of the United States this year. So this is very, very significant, and it's accelerating in many ways. I asked actually it was one of the heads of Anthropic, which has the Claude LLM. It's one of the top 3 to 5 of all the LLMs that are out there. Said, put this in layman's terms. What is it? What level are the current LLMs? And he said, well, right now we have LLMs are roughly the level of a great graduate student, but less than a year, we're going to have an LLM that's greater than a good PhD, and within less than a year from that, it's going to be the level of a Nobel laureate. So again, this acceleration is very, very substantial.
General, you're someone who obviously thinks very deeply about the geopolitical impact of all of this as well. What is at stake, sir, in your view, if the United States does not win this AI marathon?
Well, it depends. You know, there's not going to be a winner and a loser. It's going to be relative degrees of dominance or excellence or what have you. And certainly whoever it is that does best is going to have a certain advantage in a number of different ways. By the way, that is in the military world as well. I go quite regularly to Ukraine. I just finished my 7th full week trip there since the full-on invasion in 2022 by Russia. And that is the future of warfare. And AI is already engaged in a whole host of different tasks and enabling the Ukrainians in particular, although the Russians have very substantial innovation as well. You know, this is really an unmanned systems battlefield. Certainly there are soldiers that rush across the street, try to get a new foothold, but tanks don't survive on this battlefield anymore, armored vehicles, all the rest of that. It's just this ubiquitous surveillance, and the minute one side or the other starts to try to conduct an attack, out come the suicide drones and so on. The Ukrainians are using 9,000 drones per day, and maybe a third or so of those don't come back. They're suicide drones intended to go out and strike something. They're not going to come back, or they're shot down. Because again, this is the most lethal front lines in the world. Well, AI is already enabling a lot of this, and you can see where it is going, because the next step is you're no longer limited by the number of remote pilots that you have, because they're going to be algorithmically piloted, if you will. And then you can have swarms, and the dynamics of all of this are really quite extraordinary.